Husband, please, must you keep digging like this? This Earth used to be underwater, Merope, and I'm gonna find the fossils to prove it. This is it! This is... What? Oh, sorry, wrong language. I've been asleep for so many eons, I've lost track of which Big Bang this is. Are you the regular monkey people or the weird ones with tentacle toes? Are you a god? Sure. Well, almighty and benevolent being, I beseech thee, help me find what shell fossils may be buried amongst this earth so that I may surpass my rival, proving my theory before that dreaded Xenophanes. Wow, passionate worship and heated rivalry? White girls will eat that shit up in a few thousand years. But crabs are lame. Dinosaurs are where the YouTube content's at. And funny enough, there just so happened to be quite the similar bitter feud between two paleontologists in the 1800s. It's a tale of connivery, bribery, and cutthroat rivalry, with both men scrambling to get the upper hand with increasingly underhanded methods. I don't understand any of these words you're speaking. That's fine, this is the internet, you're not here to learn. But anyway, how about we ditch the sandbox and take a proper field trip forward in time? You're capable of this? Sure, I can take it any time you like. The fall of Rome, that Jesus guy, your wife's third affair. Third? You're right, so many fun options. Let's keep things simple today and explore the wacky antics of the Bone Wars. Wait, third? Do you hear voices? Well, I can't help you with that, but I can help you stop hearing new ones who acquired your phone number online with our sponsor Incogni. You can think of your online data like the mediocre stories you tell on a first date. You might think your small talk is staying between the two of you, but when you inevitably leave her unimpressed, she laughs about you to her friends, one of them is a comedian, and now 2.5 million people on TikTok know about your 8th grade furry face. Just like a bad date, data brokers too love sucking up all your personal data to spill everywhere online, except they don't even take you to Olive Garden first. But don't worry, gamers, that's where Incogni comes in. They track down these data brokers with dogs and force them at gunpoint to scrub your data clean from various online directories or else face ferocious attack by canine. I'm being told to say that this is all metaphorical. Incogni will keep your personal information safe from being sold to scammers and swindlers by regularly contacting hundreds of data brokers to have your information removed, which they are legally obligated to do. With their nifty custom removals plan, if you ever find your personal information on a website like White Pages, all you have to do is make a request and Incogni will work hard to take it down, with metaphorical dogs. This doesn't work on TikToks, the world will forever call you Furry Freddy now, and stuff like government websites and court records is off the table, so make sure you pay your taxes, or at least pretend to very well. To try out Incogni today, you can use my code BLUEJAY through my link in the description to get 60% off an annual plan. And now, back to the Bone Wars. Welcome to the 1800s. Riding the wave of the Industrial Revolution, the 19th century was an exciting period defined by big booms that would shape the world's landscape forever. The gold rush shaped the face of the West, the Derringer shaped the face of Lincoln, and just as oil was seeing its own boom, so too did pre-oil skyrocket in demand. Industrial Revolution? With that nerd Darwin finding time between putting kids in his cousin to spit out the theory of evolution, the field of paleontology erupted in popularity as researchers scrambled to dig up the bones necessary to substantiate his theory. Evolution? Listen, you're more of a prop than an actual student, so let's keep the questions to a minimum, champ. Two of said bone erectors were New York native Othniel Charles Marsh and Philadelphia-born Edward Drinker Cope, go Birds. While both men were up-and-coming big shots in the big bone world, they did come from quite the different backgrounds. Cope, for his part, possessed everything one needs for a successful academic career. He had passion, talent, and most importantly, a rich immediate family. Marsh, on the other hand, despite sharing the first two attributes, came from a poor farming family, meaning he had to pursue the second path to scientific stardom. A rich extended family. As 1864 rolled around, both of these studs met for the first time where all men with iconic mustaches like to hang out. Berlin. In the beginning, they hit it off pretty well, and continued to keep in touch upon returning to the States, writing each other letters, talking about dinos, kicking their feet. A few years in, Cope made the first mistake by getting a little too excited and sending dig pics, taking Marsh out on a joint expedition to one of his excavation sites in New Jersey. Only problem was, not only did Marsh grow up around animals, but he learned from them too, as this greedy little piggy bribed the site manager to send all future fossils to him and him alone.
You there, boy! Here's $100.
Wow, thank you, sir. What for? Keep it on the down low, but in return, whenever you lads whip out some solid bones, make sure I'm the first to see 'em. Our bones? Spot on, chap. Especially the big ones. How about average? Fine, but the bigger the better. I prefer ones at least 30 feet from base to head. Sorry, sir, I don't think I have enough blood in my body for that. What? Oh, no, are you not the owner of the dig site? No, I'm Kyle. Excuse me, are you looking for the owner? Yes, I'm looking to make a deal for fossil exclusivity. Here's your money back, sir. No, keep it. I can do both. This moment could serve as the first shots fired in the now brewing Bone Wars, the greatest, most consequential conflict of the 1860s. The second greatest conflict of the 1860s. It was a conflict. This was a slight that Cope would not forget, and tensions grew between the two friends turned heated rivals. Ugh, that's just like Xenophanes. Yeah, or whatever. Anyway, the two fossil hunters began exchanging blows, starting off rather mild at first, passive-aggressively naming new species after each other, like bitchy high school girls giving fake compliments. Some sources I've read argue this was done as a friendly gesture. However, I find that hard to believe when the animal Cope chose was a shitty little amphibian, and the one Marsh named came from the same dig site that he swindled out from under Cope. And also puts his name right next to anus. But that would only be a tiny sting compared to the sucker punch Cope received after he was sent some fossils that he would name Elasmosaurus platyurus. Platyurus. Elasmosaurus a Cretaceous period marine reptile that was 40 feet long from head to tail. Or maybe tail to head? Turns out Cope had mistakenly arranged the fossils with the skull on the tail end of his new dino, a mistake that Marsh immediately recognized and wasted no time rubbing in Cope's face. This is horrendous. Oh my. So, what other discoveries have you made, buddy? That's all. This humiliation caused Cope to cope by running with his tail, or I guess head, between his legs to try and buy back every single copy of his flawed paper. But you know what they say, once you post something in academic journal compendia, it's there forever. And Cope's error would be remembered as his biggest mistake through the tail end of his career, regardless of all the effort he put into the memory's ejection. And hey, speaking of bones, you know what rhymes with ejection? Corrections were not exclusive to Cope, however, for throughout the duration of their rivalry, both men would have issues configuring their heads. Years later, Marsh would place the skull of a Brachiosaurus on the body of a Brontosaurus, which is honestly an understandable mistake, considering the only difference between the two is that one is doing the limbo while the other yearns to be vertical. Shortly after their expedition to the wastelands, or as they said around this time, New Jersey, Marsh found himself with some growing prestige, landing himself a job as Yale University's first professor of paleontology, a position only achievable through raw talent, hard work, and an uncle who builds an entire museum for the university on the condition that they give his nephew a job. Nepotism aside, things were starting to get dirty with our diggers, and both men decided to pump the gas on their attempts to one-up each other. Cope was a firm believer in the Pokemon strategy. Quantity over quality, publishing an ungodly 76 papers a year at his peak in an attempt to completely drown out his rival. Because it doesn't matter how good the final product is, the people are gonna eat up these cute animal drawings anyway. Marsh, on the other hand, preferred a more cautious and calculated approach, reserving his papers for only the most prestigious of academic journals and mastering the art of manipulating the media's attention. For example, in 1869, Marsh visited the site of a sensational archaeological find, the Cardiff Giant, a supposed petrified 10-foot-tall giant man that was dug up in a New York farm. Marsh took a gander, said, "Bro, that's a rock," and furiously beat the charlatan fossil finder in a fit of rage. This man of science just snapped like that? No. But if I say it confidently enough, everyone will believe me. Little YouTuber life hack for you. But he did accurately debunk one of history's most famous archaeological hoaxes, and the resulting pop culture attention plastered his name in newspapers from New York to Sacramento. If you're just gonna lie, you should keep your mouth shut. With the 70s around the corner, both Cope and Marsh trained their eyes westward towards a promising new opportunity, the frontier. Thousands of miles of wilderness, graveyards of bones, all of which yet unexplored by the likes of men. By the likes of what they considered men. Well, this seems like a darn tootin' great spot for some bones. Please, haven't you taken enough land? You're still not over that. Fans. The two men raced to dig up and identify as many new specimens as possible, although we're talking about wealthy superstar paleontologists here, so how much work they put in should really be taken with a grain of salt. New bones, sire. Holy shit, I'm goated. To get ahead in the publishing race, they would spam out telegrams faster than I can run a 40-yard dash, which is really fast, by the way, resulting in numerous mistakes and duplicate discoveries. In some instances, Marsh and Cope even knew their fossils were not unique, but tried to pass them off as so anyway, especially if it gave them the opportunity to one-up their rival. What? Well, my dinosaur was twice as big, could fly 30,000 feet, got pterodactyl every night, and could easily bench 450 without any creatine, like some dinosaurs. Towards the late 1870s, any pretense of cordiality was thrown to the curb. Cope, who had been known to be bubbly and outgoing, had started treating his guests with animosity at dig sites. Marsh, for his part, had become more paranoid and mischievous, establishing a convoluted series of code names to conduct his work. Cope was referred to as Jones, money was ammunition, how well a fossil find went was called health, and a handsome smart boy was called a blue jay. You made that up. No. In their clumsy bum rush to outdo each other, they spun quite the taxonomic nightmare of a web, creating their own nomenclatures, refusing to acknowledge the others, and giving some species multiple names that would require generations of paleontologists to unravel. Like a 40-year-old Pokemon card scalper, both men had become more obsessed with collecting fossils than actually playing with them, so much so that many unidentified species were left locked up in boxes all the way up till their deaths. For in the end, all that mattered was having bones and making sure the other didn't. With dynamite, exploding fossil beds had become a viable strategy for the warring paleontologists, because once the fossil cart gets full, what else are you gonna do with the crumbs? Leave them for the next guy? But that's terrible. What about all the lost discoveries? The evidence? How does this help advance the people's understanding at all? Oh, naive child. This whole rodeo isn't about the people, it's about prestige. And in a field known for the mantra, publish or perish, the pursuit of pettiness will often find one asking themselves, why not both? Now, to be fair, the use of explosives may have been more rumor than fact, but even still, relentless bone smashing and stashing had become the norm, lowering the bar even further below the very fossils they're fighting for. Alright, cart's full, nuke the rest of them. I don't think those are invented yet, but are you sure we should be doing this? I mean, this one kinda looks like a prophecy. That's just erosion, now put it with the others and get to sploding. Where there's sabotage, you bet there's espionage. So like a YouTube video essay channel, Marsh turned to plagiarism for a dirty attempt to get ahead. Or at least, so he was accused of doing by friends of Cope, who claimed he had snuck into his rival's lecture on Permian reptiles to jot down the information and publish it before Cope had the chance to. Now, spying from an office can only get you so far, and if we learned anything from our friendly neighborhood Central Intelligence Agency, it's that the banana industry makes for great coups d'etats. Bananas? Sorry, wrong video. It's that you gotta put boots on the ground to get things done. So Marsh was known to infiltrate Cope's field expeditions with undercover spies. At the climax of the rivalry, Cope and Marsh were fighting over dig sites in Wyoming, getting so heated that the two paleontologist teams even got into a rock-flinging skirmish. But generational wealth can only get you so far in a multi-decade petty feud, and with Marsh pulling strings behind the scenes, Cope began to run dry in the old piggy bank department. Falling into financial ruin wasn't satisfying enough for Marsh, however. After all, it was them Pokemon cards we all care about. So the spiteful man tried to utilize his connections to strip Cope of his fossil collection. A plan that eventually backfired and saw Marsh's own career tumble down as his excessive research fund spending was put into question. With both men racing to rock bottom, their collections, incomes, and even homes were put in the crosshairs. Please, just mortgage it. You can't take my home, that's inhumane. While the rivalry discredited both men, defaced the good name of paleontology, and even pushed colleagues to quit the field out of embarrassment, it did also drive them to uncover an ungodly amount of fossils in their race for greatness. Some of the most iconic dinosaurs, from the Stegosaurus to the Triceratops, were discovered during this conflict. At the final count, Cope had discovered 56 new dinosaur species, while Marsh stood proud at a whopping 80. But one last battle was still to come. While the end of their days were mostly filled with back and forth mudslinging in newspapers, Cope issued one pinnacle challenge to definitively prove which man was best. On his deathbed, he had his skull donated to science so that his brain could be measured, demanding Marsh do the same so that he could show, once and for all, that his brain was biggest. With the climactic battle set and everything on the line, all Marsh had to do was take up the challenge. Pass. And that, my dear friend, was the end of the Bone Wars. So, learn anything to help you beat your Greek rival, whatchamacallit, sucks on his knees? Xenophanes. And yes, I just need to tickle this magic stick, right? Wait! No, you can't die yet. We were just starting to hit it off. You? Say, what's your name anyway? Alexander. Tell my wife I love her. She's a little busy with affair number 8 right now, but I'll leave a note. Wait, 8? Good night, sweet prince. Well, that's a bummer, but it's alright. I'm sure I'll find you again in another life, dear Alex.